It's a big rest in peace to Dikembe Mutombo, man. Like he was such a big part of what basketball is now, being the global ambassador. I think it was cool. It was cool that he was able to see what like what South Sudan and what they were able to do in the Olympics. Like Africa is going to be a really big part of basketball for the upcoming years. And I think he had a big part in that. And when it comes to his actual playing, I feel like he at sometimes gets overlooked when it comes to defensive bigs, as crazy as that is, because he was like the quintessential defensive big in the 90s. He was the guy that was blocking shots. But whenever I talk about defensive bigs, the first names that come up are Hakeem Olajuwon and David Robinson. And Dikembe kind of comes up as an afterthought, but I mean, he was as good a defensive big as they come, and I mean, as memorable as they come for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I feel like a lot of people when they speak on Dikembe, it's the impact that you feel off the floor more so than what it is on the floor. Like, obviously, top five, one of the greatest shot blockers to ever play the game. But I think he just, like you said, he connected a lot of bridges overseas for the NBA just to expand globally. And, we see that in our game now with some of the stars, even that we have in the league, kind of having like an African background. And it just continues to build because of people like him. So big RIPs to Dikembe for him.
Yeah, RIP, man. Just a class act on and off the court, helped expanded the game to Africa. I bet a lot of players started playing basketball because of him.
Oh yeah.
And he was just fierce. I remember him like late 90s, early 2000s. He was one of the best competitors.
Top three defensive big man of all time?
Shoot.
Would you give him top three?
Yeah.
I want to say top five, but he's probably in the top three.
Top five.
It depends. Yeah, that's hard. The top five for sure.
Who's the last? Who would be the last? So Hakeem, David Robinson, Dikembe Mutombo, Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain.
That's probably the five with Ben Wallace looking in.
Oh, Ben
I was
Wallace.
gonna say
There's
Ben Wallace.
good ones, man.
I was gonna say Ben Wallace is in my top.
That's a
five,
discussion.
sure.
No, you're right. There's a lot of names. That is a discussion for sure to have. Well, welcome to the Scoops podcast. I'm here with Deionte. I'm here with Ahmad. A breaking news coming in a time period where I wasn't really expecting it and not really expecting something like this. Karl-Anthony Towns being traded to New York for Julius Randle, DiVincenzo, and a pick. And I don't know about you guys, but this floored me. Like I was shook for the rest of the night, not for it being groundbreaking in any way, but more so just confusion as to why do it? Why was the decision made now? Like after spending some time to sit and think about it, I can understand the strategic sides for both teams of why this trade was made. But my first initial reaction was, what just happened? I don't know how you guys felt when you saw it.
Yeah, I was just confused, honestly, because I feel like the trade, you could argue that it's a lose-lose for both teams. For Minnesota, I can see why they need DiVincenzo, and that first round pick is great. But I don't know how Randall can help them. Like, he brings too much in-paint scoring. They need more spacing, so I don't know.
From my understanding, the plan is, well, it was Karl-Anthony Towns is up for a new contract soon, and he's not the man in Minnesota anymore. Anthony Edwards is now the man in Minnesota. They're going to give him the big money. And Rudy Gobert's contract is not a small one either, okay? They do not have that much money to be throwing around. To free up financial space, the financial burden that would be Karl-Anthony Towns, and to get Randall and possibly move him to somewhere new and make something off of that, along with that new money. It's a weird time for either team to be doing this, considering they were both top teams in their conference. Like as they were constructed, it was like, all right, the Knicks were in the Eastern Conference, or almost in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Mhm.
right? They were almost
Yeah,
there,
they
but they
made it
went
to
to
the
the semis.
semifinals.
Yeah,
Yeah, made
semifinals.
it to the semifinals.
And Minnesota saying they were almost no, they went to the
No,
finals,
Yeah,
right?
they
Minnesota
made
went
Yeah.
to the
it.
Western Conference
Both
Finals.
teams
Yeah,
and they were two teams that everyone was like championing. People wanted to
Mhm.
see Minnesota win. People wanted to see New York win. And then you get rid of I mean for the Knicks it makes sense. Okay, Randall was hurt first of all, and two, he wasn't really fitting well. So you get Karl-Anthony Towns, but one thing that Karl-Anthony Towns is not known for is his paint defense. The reason why they got Gobert was so that they could put him next to Cat. So what's the plan here? Is he going to play the four? Mitchell Robinson's going to play the five? Because I've heard rumors that they're going to move Mitchell Robinson too. So what's I don't know what end goal is here. Is what's confusing me about this.
as far as Mitchell Robinson goes, I don't think Mitchell Robinson, he's not going to be ready at the start of the season. That's the main reason why they
Mhm.
went out and got a Karl-Anthony Towns, because they needed a solidified five. Granted, his paint defense isn't, elite or, anything you'd want it to be from your, starting five. But yeah, they needed to go get the height. Biggest question for me personally with this trade is, and you mentioned it, it was getting expensive in Minnesota. You paid Nas Reed, pays Jaden McDaniels, you pay, you have to pay Ant. You were gonna have to, pay Cat again. Rudy's not cheap, but I feel like, aren't you gonna run into that bridge with Randall, because isn't he about to be up for a contract extension?
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah. That's why I'm thinking it's their plan is to move Randall. They got some money cleared from this trade. They got that pick. Now let's move Randall to somewhere else and see what we can get from him. Um,
So you think it's like a potential three team, or just like they're trying to find another team to ship him off to?
find another team. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be probably the best decision for Minnesota because at this point, I don't see how this helps either team make it into the NBA Finals. Like, I don't know how this helps either team. But yeah, if they can get in for more players, then that would be amazing.
I think Minnesota is smart enough to realize they're not going to get anywhere with the spacing of a Randall and Gobert together. They know this.
Mhm.
Like Anthony Edwards, when Rudy Gobert was first traded to the team, was upset at the spacing of just having Gobert out there. He was publicly upset about the lack of spacing and running into Gobert's man in the paint every time.
Yeah, he
And
definitely mentioned it.
yeah, he
Yeah.
mentioned it when they first got him. They figured it out. They were able to, get some success off of it. And then the emergence of Nas Reed definitely helped with the spacing as well. Um, but now you're adding Randall in there, who's not known to be a three-point shooter. The spacing's going to be even worse. So that's why I'm thinking there has to be another move here. There has to be another play. This is not the final play for them. Because if it is, all they did was cut themselves off at the knees at a
Yeah.
time where people thought that, they had a chance at winning it all if they stayed healthy and were competing.
Yeah, we'll have to see what they want to do. From the New York side of things, I'm just interested to see how that's going to work out because it's going to be like more offense, but a lot less defense.
Exactly. And they go small already with OG at the four. Like
Yeah.
he's sure he's not like super small. He's a forward. And then you're gonna go with Cat, who's been playing forward all season next to Gobert. It's like they're going super small. And
Mhm.
that's either super great off it's usually super great offensively and not as good defensively.
I think New York would got it though from their standpoint is like they got now the wing defenders with Mikal and OG. They have belief that OG can defend some bigger fours, smaller fives, because he's done it a little bit with his time previously in Toronto. Like he can switch onto a bigger man, or he can guard on the perimeter, or he can even guard down low, some smaller fives. And then they know that they're gonna have a lot of people crashing the board to, kind of help Cat secure those defensive rebounds with either OG, you got Josh Hart still that's gonna crash the boards like he's a
Yeah,
center.
for sure.
So
Mhm.
they're gonna be real reliant on the two wings to really kind of make up some of that, defensive structure that they now lost, not having a traditional five, like defensive five at the, in the center spot. But It's gonna be exciting, man. Everybody, they all gotta be healthy though for it to work. Like they can't
Yeah.
be missing bodies like last year.
Yeah, no, you're right in that they have their wings are very versatile, especially on the defensive side. So they're going to need to pick up a lot of the slack. And I mean, if there's any perimeter guys that I would want going down and grabbing boards or playing defense, it would be a guy like Josh Hart. It would be a guy like Mikal Bridges. It would be a guy like OG. So I understand that. They're obviously putting a lot of trust in those guys to do that. I think. I think the Knicks have gotten better. Again, I think they need a more true paint defender. If they can secure that, then the Knicks are for sure a top team in the NBA because a top team in the East, a favorite to come out of the East because one of the teams that they're going to have to go through, assuming health, would be Joel Embiid, and Joel Embiid
Yeah.
is a big nasty dude who can just he'll have his way if there's not a bigger paint defender stopping him from just getting to the rim and drawing fouls.
Yeah,
I mean,
Giannis
he's
and
gonna. Oh,
yeah,
go
go
ahead, Mo.
ahead. You go ahead.
I was gonna say Joel's gonna have it. I feel like Joel. It's understandable to use him as an example. He's gonna have his way with anybody though. Like there's some people like the Giannis's, the Joels, the Jokic's. There isn't really too many people you put in front of them that's gonna stop them. It may slow them down, but the impact is still gonna be felt.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like because of Giannis and because of Embiid, I feel like Cat is definitely going to help the Knicks get back into that second round, compete for a conference finals. But those two, man, Giannis and Embiid are going to attack every time, and it's going to be a problem. I don't think Cat can handle that.
My first thought, other than confusion, my first honest thought in my brain was the two main pieces of this trade, which were Julius Randle and Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't trust either of them. And I'm a big Karl-Anthony Towns fan. I coming out into the NBA, I was like, this kid is special. But there have been so many playoffs. He had his moments in the last playoffs, okay, good and bad. But when it's bad, he can't stay out of foul trouble and he shoots the ball very poorly. And I feel like there's been more instances of him in the playoffs having bad performances than good. I personally don't trust Karl-Anthony Towns in the playoffs. And then I don't trust Julius Randle's health. So my first thought was this is a trade of two people I don't trust. That was my first thought. I've sat on it more. I understand the more positive aspects of why this trade was made, why this can work both short term and long term for teams. But still, it's just it was more of a question of why. Why do this on a random, what was it, Friday night, like
Mhm.
a couple weeks before the off season, before the season starts? I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, I think the hope is that last year's deep run into the playoffs gives Cat some perspective, some experience, and makes him more ready for this year's playoffs. I think that's the optimistic way of looking at it.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think, like you said, gaining that experience for Cat, is gonna help push the Knicks in a better situation. And especially now, they have a reliable to me, and I know Cat does have his on nights and off nights, but they have like a more reliable second option than Julius. Because I remember Julius Randle's playoffs with the Knicks. Granted, one of them he was injured for, but the second term around, his lows are really low. Like I
Yeah.
understand, Cat is more so offensive heavy than anything, but at least he's still 7 foot. He can go out there, put a hand up, grab some boards for you. It seems like Julius Randle, when he's off, you're not feeling the impact on either side of the ball. So, like, I think I'm taking a Cat over Julius Randle
No, I am
come
too.
playoff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. No, yeah. As long as we just agreed on that.
Yeah. No, I agree with
Yeah.
that. And it was just it caught me off guard, and I have a feeling it caught a lot of people off guard at the time that it came through. I was in the movie theater when it happened. I came out and was like, "What world did I walk back out into?"
I literally went on a little vacation and I was driving and I get a phone call from one of my friends. He's like, so, Cat in New York. I was like, Garfield? I'm like, bro, what you mean, Cat in New York? He goes, nah, bro, Karl-Anthony Towns got traded. I'm like, what? No,
That's
I couldn't pull
funny.
over, but I needed to.
Yeah,
That's
super
wild.
unexpected, dude.
It really was. Oh man. I mean, speaking of Cat, speaking of New York and all this heading into the next season, I wanted to ask you guys, what with the season's almost here, guys. We're a few short weeks away. What are you most looking forward to this upcoming season?
Would you like to go first tomorrow?
Oh yeah, let's do it. What I'm looking forward to is I know this is blasphemy to say as a LA native, but I honestly don't think any other team can beat Boston. And I'm wondering how they're gonna try to repeat, maybe try to create a dynasty. It's slim, but they're the
Are
best
you
team in the
wondering
league, in
who
my
might
opinion.
step up and beat them?
No, I'm wondering if they can go all the way once again.
So you don't think anyone can step up and beat them?
I think it's possible, but if I had to bet on one team right now, it would be Boston. And I wonder if Jason Tatum, after, not getting enough minutes in the Olympics, I wonder if he's going to be like, all right, watch this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think they have the talent to do it.
They're
Yeah,
such
I
a
mean,
beautifully constructed team, are they not? Like
Yeah,
they're from
man.
top to bottom, especially that starting five. It's as good as a five as you can get.
Yeah. And I don't,
could argue the
like
best.
the Nuggets, I don't like the Westbrook move. And who else can
Yeah,
beat
that
them?
we'll
Like,
see about
I'm
that.
not going to trust Embiid and Paul George's health. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
Dame's gotten a little too old. So who's gonna beat Boston? I think they're gonna repeat.
And I mean, I think the only team to piggyback off of what Ahmad said, like to comment on that, the only team who beats Boston is Boston. I think
Facts.
they have the best constructed 5-man lineup. And even when you take Porzingis off the court, because he has to, come back from injury, he probably won't be back around till like, I believe it's late November, early December. They still got enough offensive firepower and defensive like stability to where it won't even seem like they're missing a beat. Like they'll just still coast through. To me, I think they're still going to coast to 61 personally. Like I don't think Boston has a
Yeah.
equaled like rival for the championship this year.
They have my favorite perimeter defender in Drew Holiday, and they have my favorite role player in Derek White at their one and two. They're a really fun backcourt to watch. Like you said, the team constructed how it is. It's tough to think of a team that can beat them. We'll have to see how Klay Thompson fits into his new home, if he can plug
Yeah.
some of the holes that was plaguing Dallas last year. I think they're a contender. But yeah, I agree. I agree with you guys that the only thing that can beat Boston, and by Boston beating themselves, I mean health. If they can stay healthy, they can
Hmm.
repeat for sure. They are still
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
favorites. They are still the
absolutely.
best team. So we'll have to see, because I feel like every season now it's a war of attrition. Who
Hmm.
who is who is the healthiest at the end of the season? Even with Boston not having Porzingis, they were still able to get so far, and then Porzingis comes back and just puts the cherry on top, and they win the whole
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah. But even with an amazing team, it's like very hard to repeat
Oh
because
yeah,
of health and because of like
a lot of
mental
things.
stamina. Yeah, a
Yep,
lot of things.
yep.
So we'll see if they can do it. We'll see because if they can do it, Tatum and Brown are gonna elevate their names. Like we're gonna start talking about Tatum as one of like the five greatest Celtics of all time. So
Possibly, yeah.
yeah. Off a
possibly,
back to
yeah,
back
very
this year.
possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got the argument can be made at that point.
So we'll
Because it's like,
see.
do you put Tatum over Paul Pierce right now, and would you if he wins a second ring?
If he wins the second ring, I would.
Yeah, Paul Pierce is a dog. I won't sit here and say right now that his resume eclipses him over Paul Pierce, but you get another ring under that belt. Yeah, the discussion can be made at that point.
Second ring, I give it to Tatum, but right now
Hmm.
rings tied 1-1. I want Paul Pierce on my team in an important game over Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is the far more skilled basketball player, especially when it comes to his handles and everything offensively. He's longer too, bigger, better defensively, arguably. But Paul Pierce, the game on the line, he's one of those guys that I would trust to put the ball in his hands and say, "Go get me a bucket, win me this game." More than Tatum for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, Paul Pierce is the most underrated player of this, like the last 25 years, because I feel like his cold takes after retiring kind of made people not like him and rate him lower, but he
Yeah,
was he was a dog,
he
dude.
was a dog indeed.
certain narratives off the court makes people stay in your play on the court. But Paul Pierce definitely was one of the ones when he was in the league for sure. As far as what I'm looking forward to going into next season, mine actually is in the Western Conference, and it's just a parody. I mean, my favorite team's in the Western Conference, but I'm not expecting them to be, competing with any of the top teams in the West. But I don't know who the number one team in the West is as of right. Like, in my mind, I wanted to lock it in as OKC, but then I feel like that's disrespectful to, the Denver Nuggets. I really thought it was disrespectful to the Minnesota Timberwolves, but, now with Cat departing and you get Julius Randle, got to see how that team's going to be made up. And then, I also think, God, I'm missing a team in the West. They literally just slipped my head. But I just feel like there's going to be a real challenge in the hierarchy in the Western Conference, And I think you have teams like Memphis, who for the past maybe year or two has dealt with injuries, jaw suspension, whatever you want to say. But, they were fully healthy. They were a top 2, top 3 seed in the West. And it's like, I just feel like we all discredited them because of what happened. But it's like, they're back now and they're fully healthy. And it's like, you can't tell me with the talent they have on their roster, they can't be a top 4 seed in the West again.
Super fun team to watch too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
No, the West is wide open.
For sure. I think I agree with you that it's probably either OKC or Denver. OKC, the way they were able to make their team even better with some of the role players that they threw on. And then Denver has the best player in the world. So it's arguably the best constructed team in the West right now with the moves that OKC made, and then the team with the best player in the world. I think those are two very safe bets as to who's going to be on top in the West.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, Dallas, we can't count them out.
Yeah, that's the team I forgot to mention. I was like, I forgot a team.
Wait, who?
But that's Dallas. How Dallas.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But I feel like, and for me, that's how Dallas is. They're so easy to be forgotten. And I feel like they have these slow starts in the season or, might be a little injury riddled throughout the first couple of months into the season. But then at some point, they just kind of take off. And I feel like they did that last season. And I feel like they've done that seasons prior to where it's like, they are one of the upper echelon teams. But I feel like in the duration of the regular season, it doesn't show as often. But once they make it to the playoffs and you get that void, when Luka really started cooking, and you see oh yeah, they are. They wanted him they wanted them teams too. But it's gonna be fun in the West this year, though.
It will for sure. My thing I'm excited about it's in the West. I want to see what Chris Paul does for the Spurs. I think the Spurs are a fun young team coming up, and whenever Chris Paul comes up, a lot of things are talked about, whether you like him or you don't, him not having any rings, the injuries, the playoffs against the Clippers, lots of things were talked about, playoffs against the Spurs. When Chris Paul comes up, the first thing I mention when Chris Paul comes up is the fact that every team he joins, their winning goes up. Every single team he joins, their win-loss ratio changes positively from just being drafted or going to the Hornets, from going to the Clippers, going to OKC, going to the Suns, and then going to the finals. Every team he's touched, they get better. The guy knows how to win. Obviously he hasn't gotten all the way to the end yet, but the win-loss column gets better. You're pairing him, who is one of the best basketball minds of this century so far, pairing him with one of the greatest coaches of all time and one of the best young player in the NBA right now in Wembanyama. Then you have role players that I like Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell. This team, I feel like, is going to be a sleeper in the West this year. Maybe not to win it, but to possibly make the playoffs and maybe knock off your favorite team because they can't stop Wembanyama.
Yeah, to me, this is probably the best thing that could have happened to Victor Wembanyama, because the other thing Chris Paul is known for is helping bigs shine. Whether it's DeAndre Jordan or DeAndre Ayton, he knows how to set his bigs up in a way that's unparalleled, and I think he's going to do a lot of good for Wembanyama. The only thing I'm worried about is Chris Paul kind of bickers a lot, and I wonder how his relationship will be with Greg Popovich because they're both like older, like set in their ways. I wonder how that's going to be.
I think they'll be fun to watch. I'm hoping it'll be like a 90s sitcom type relationship where it's like they're like ribbing each other and stuff because they both know so much about basketball, but that's just me being an optimist.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, to agree with what you said, Daniel, I think it's just simply put, Chris Paul's a winner. Like, I know firsthand experience. You feel me? I went from watching a team who won 24, 26 games a season to you acquire one of the best, IQ point guards that ever played the game. And all of a sudden now you don't have any seasons when he's on the roster that you went under 50 games. Like, there's no surprise. There's no shock that wherever Chris Paul goes, he wins. Now, like you said, he doesn't have a ring, but he got there. Just ran into
Yeah.
one of, arguably one of the, a really
Greatest power
great power
forwards of all
forward.
time.
That's he ran into one of them dudes, so it was kind of hard for him to get past that hurdle. But now he's a winner, man, and his IQ's off the charts. He has experience that a lot of other people don't have, and he can really, help mold players into being the best version of themselves. So it's gonna be fun to see him alongside of Wemby, and just mentoring all the other young guys they got, like you said, Devin Vassell, Stephen Castle, Malachi Branham. Like, it's gonna be fun to watch the Spurs for sure.
Yeah, I'm a big highlights guy. Like, just about every single night before I go to sleep, I watch probably 30 minutes of some random highlights. And of this entire past season, my favorite highlights to watch were Victor Wembanyama. And I have a feeling that next season, my favorite highlights to watch are going to be Chris Paul and Victor Wembanyama doing their duo thing over the course of the next season.
Yeah, that's going to be such a fun dynamic, dude.
Yep.
And
I feel like Chris Paul, I mean, he's one of the best in the mid-range. I feel like he is going to unlock something in Victor Wembanyama. I think he's going to make him an even better three-way or three-level scorer. I think we're going to see some stuff in the mid-range from Wembanyama that we haven't seen yet in his short career.
Man, that would be unfair, dude.
No,
That's what
I
I'm
think
hoping for.
when you say three-way score, though, you're honestly right, because you score from three different levels. It's regular field goals, 3-pointers, and then get into the free throw line. And like Chris Paul, like Ahmad said, he sets up his bigs, puts them in a position to where they have an advantage, probably get fouled down low, giving it to them where they like it the most. We might see his free throw attempts go up for Vic too. So it's like you're just gonna start to see him ascend, just scoring the basketball. It's just gonna look a lot easier for him now.
Definitely. I am very excited for that. All right, last segment of the podcast, guys, is a little game of Guess Who. I have 3 players, and I have 3 hints for those players. Okay, we're gonna go one player at a time, one hint at a time. I am going to flip a coin right now, and Deionte, you were here first, so call it, heads or tails.
Tails.
It is tails. So you get to guess first on this first player, okay? We'll go you first on the first one, Ahmad first on the second one, and then you get first on the third one again, okay?
Gotcha.
So some of these are vague. Okay, a lot of these hints are vague because if I went too specific, you guys know what you're talking about, you would guess it. So they're pretty vague. So do your best on these guesses, okay? First player, first hint. Top 75 player of all time with no ring. So he's on the top 75 list and he doesn't have a ring. First guess. Incorrect. Ahmad?
Westbrook.
Incorrect. Okay. Second guess. Or second hint, excuse me. Played for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Charles Barkley.
Incorrect.
Damn.
No rings? I'm stumped. I don't even have a guess. I'm stumped. I don't know.
No guess? You want the third hint?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take the third hint.
Third hint. Went to Georgetown.
Oh man. Oh man, I forgot his name.
I'll give you a 10-second clock. 9,
I
8,
forgot his name,
7,
bro.
6,
He's a
5,
big-
4, 3, 2, 1. Ahmad, looks like you know what it is.
The answer is the answer. Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson,
That's
baby.
not.
So-
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It was too. I think it was just too obvious of a name.
Yeah, bro. That could.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said Georgetown too. I don't know why I'm always thinking of Georgetown.
Yeah, you always think of Georgetown Bigs. He's like one of the
Yeah.
first. He's like that rare guard
Yeah,
that went to
the answer,
Georgetown.
Allen
Oh, my
Iverson. Did you got it for the Sixers, or you got it when I said Georgetown, Ahmad?
Georgetown, because there's
Okay.
a lot of ringless Sixers.
There,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah,
sorry
because
for
he
that.
said
Yeah.
Charles Barkley. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a feeling someone would guess Charles first. All right, player number 2, Ahmad, you get to guess first. Hint number 1: he is top 20 in 3-pointers made all time in a career. So you have a
JJ
1 in
Redick.
20 shot. Stop it.
Did I get it right?
You one-shotted that guess, bro.
Let's
What?
do it. You know
You had
why?
a-
Because I was asking one of my friends like a week ago. I was like, "Is JJ top 20?" So this has been on my mind.
That's
He is
insane.
number 20.
Nah,
He
that's
is number
crazy.
20 on the top 20 list.
JJ.
Okay, the other 2 hints were he's retired and he played for the Magic, the Pelicans, and the Clippers, and you didn't even need them. You 1 in
Man.
20 shot, and you got it on the first
Let's
guess.
get
That
it.
is
Hey, that's round of applause, my boy.
hilarious.
Nah,
That
that's
is
great.
so funny.
I'm about to get
All
to
right.
you. This looking bad. All right, bet. Gotta lock in.
Third, it's okay. Player 3 is worth 1,000 points, so you still have a chance to win
less.
this one, Deionte. Okay,
Say less.
so you get first guess. First
All right.
hint: he is a former member of the Detroit Pistons.
She was.
Good guess, but no.
Ooh, I thought that was gonna be it.
Ahmad, your guess.
Tayshaun Prince.
Good guess, but no. These are good guesses. Good
Oh.
Pistons. Second hint: Ahmad, you get first guess. He also played for the Los Angeles Clippers.
The Clippers. Is it Blake Griffin?
Incorrect, but great guess.
Dang. Okay.
Is it Chauncey Billups?
Chauncey
Damn.
Billups, big shot,
Mr.
Billups.
Big Shot.
I saw you got it as soon as I said Los Angeles Clippers.
That's all I needed. That's all I needed.
hilarious. My third hint would have been has won championship.
Okay.
Yeah. I like that one.
I thought you would have gotten that one, Ahmad. Detroit's your
Man.
team, baby.
I wanted to go with Tayshaun first. That's
It was.
why.
I did both your teams with that one. I did the
Yeah.
Pistons and the Clippers.
I think Chris
Yeah,
Kaman
no, for real.
wasn't Chris Kaman also a Piston?
Was he
I
the
can't.
caveman? I don't know.
He was gonna
I
be my
don't
next
believe
guess.
so.
Blake
Was
Griffin
he a
was a great
Piston?
guess. I
Blake.
did slip my mind that he would have been a possibility after hint number 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nah, that was a
good
good
job,
one, though,
fellas.
actually.
Yeah, that was fun.
2-1 though. Ahmad wins.
But he
Yeah.
got the Pistons one though.
He did.
I
That's
should have
big.
gotten that one.
So we'll
It's all right,
say
you got the
we'll say you
Clippers
guys
one, man.
tied. Emotionally, you guys tied.
Nah, for sure.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me for another episode of the Scoops podcast. This was a fun one. We only got a couple weeks left before real basketball starts, and we have some games and stuff to talk about. So that's going to be exciting. A lot of stuff coming up from, Bronny's a Laker and how are they going to do? And, who's healthy in the beginning of the season, who's not. We got a lot of stuff that we got to discuss coming up in a couple weeks. So I will be looking forward to that with you guys.
Can't wait.
Good to be back, man.
Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah. All right. I'll catch y'all.
All right.
Scoops. Oops.